All right, hello, STEM Coven, and welcome to day 19 of Mystical Practices for Your Logical Life. I'm a little bit late getting on today, but I have an exciting topic to share with you today, and I want to talk about exploring archetypes and how we can use them in our own personal development. So, if you've heard of archetypes before, you've probably heard of Carl Jung, who created the term and really brought it into our lexicon of, how we work with our minds and psychology and kind of like how we see ourselves in the world. So, what archetype means as a word is like the first model, and it also represents emerging patterns that happen in the collective. So, archetypes are both genderless and timeless. So, anyone can be any of the archetypes. And I think that some of the more common archetypes that we've all heard of are like the warrior archetype or maiden mother crone. Those are some of the ones that are more commonly worked with and just, in our everyday experience. And although just knowing about the archetypes is magical, kind of like knowing that these archetypes exist in the collective, not just for us personally, but as a collective, like most people have an experience of some of these archetypes at some point in their life, we can also intentionally work with the archetypes. So what I like to do with the archetypes is I have the Wild Unknown Archetype deck here. And I really like this deck because the imagery is absolutely stunning. And also it has a really wide array of the archetypes, and maybe some of the names for them aren't what we would commonly see. I think that Kim Kranz in the booklet that comes with this goes into the fact that there is no hero in this deck, and hero is commonly seen in like the lists of archetypes, and she goes into the reasons why. But there are really beautiful representations of a bunch of different archetypes that we can be working with. So the first way that I like to work with the archetypes is if I am experiencing something or feeling a certain way or wanting to call in an archetype into my life to kind of embody that energy, I will pull out the card that I want to work with. So here's a card that is the healer. And if that's an energy that I want to work with, I will sometimes just like pull out this card and do a meditation on visually looking at the card before I even read what the card is about. But if my intention is to bring in the energy of the healer, I will meditate on how I can bring that into my life, how I can embody that more, how my actions can embody the healer even more. So that's kind of one way that I work it in. And the other way is just to pull a card from the deck and then ask myself, how is that energy showing up for me in my life? How am I going through this cycle in some way right now? So the card I just pulled is the Poet. And then I would do some reflecting on that and maybe just journal about it a little bit, see how it's coming up for me, and see just where that resonates in my body. I think that it's an interesting experience with the archetypes because since it is a collective experience, these experiences can be happening and maybe we're not even aware that we're going through it. Maybe we're not making that specific connection, but working with the cards and just intentionally working with archetypes can help us make those connections and feel a little bit more settled in what's happening with us, right? Like having an understanding that this is an experience that not just I am having, that this is kind of a collective thing that happens to a lot of folks. So that's how I like to work with the archetypes, and I think that if you guys are loving this series, I would love to hear from you. I love the messages that I'm getting. I want to say that I love the messages that I'm getting from folks who work in STEM fields, who consider themselves to be highly logical people, and how this work is really resonating with them because we're not just like one-sided, we're not just one-dimensional. There are many things that go on in our lives that maybe don't fit completely into the box of that rational being, and it's really nice to acknowledge the other parts of ourselves and explore them a little deeper. So I hope that this is really resonating with everybody who's been joining and messaging me. And if you want to get the free workbook that goes along with these mystical practices so you could develop your own toolbox, you could get that at the link in my bio. Just sign up for my email list. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.